Hi everyone, welcome back to Up Next. My name is Carrie. I'm joined as usual by the very beautiful and very talented Kaylin. And we're here today to, you guessed it, talk about some new music.
That's awesome. And boy, there's so much new music this weekend, wasn't there?
There was a lot of new music, and we have some very, very strong picks. For our jazz head fans, you're going to find some things to love about this week.
I know. Well, we did Jazz Roundup recently, and it didn't go over that well, but we don't learn from our mistakes here.
I will say, someone commented something very lovely in support of jazz, of the Jazz Roundup. They said,
this is for you.
It's literally for you. They were like, I, for one, really like the jazz that you guys talk about, and I really appreciated the recommendations, so I just felt like that was worth sharing. I said, oh, thank you.
Oh, that's sweet. Well, let's get jazzy with it.
We'll get a little jazzy. Jazz? I do want to also say there's a lot for the non-jazz heads, too.
Yeah, there's other stuff, too.
Worry not.
Sort of, maybe.
Will you show me your first album? Will you show me an album?
Oh, my gosh. Okay, yeah, I'll start off. Let's talk about jazz. So I'm going to talk about Holy Mountains by the Exploding Star Orchestra and Rob Mazurek. This album is, as you might be able to tell by like the name of the ensemble here, it is very much like cosmic jazz, space jazz, but not necessarily out of the more like Sun Ra style of like spacey spiritual jazz. This leans into a little more of an experimental approach and some electronic elements and vocal samples all happening to really give this like a very unique flavor. It's pretty fringe, I guess, compared to more of the like Alice Coltrane stuff that you might typically think of when you think of like space or cosmic jazz.
Yeah.
Another fun thing, this album was recorded live in Brazil. This artist incorporates a lot of Brazilian influence into his music, and that really comes through in this, particularly in tracks like Shaman Awake, which almost flirts with like an ecstatic dance, like percussion driven kind of sound.
Yeah, it's a lot of like different varied percussion sounds, which is also very emblematic.
Yeah. A lot of fun like syncopation, and it overall the whole record is very dynamic with really intense highs and really far out lows. So definitely recommend if you like the weirder fringe of this genre.
Hell yeah.
Your turn.
Yeah.
Sorry. Cool.
Sorry. I'm like, oh, cool.
I'm just info dumping at you about about jazz.
You were like, I'd love to have notes, but then I'm like, wait. Is this a conversation?
Yeah, it's still conversation.
It is. Yeah. I could chime in. It's fine. It's good to be prepared. I'm always like, it's good and I like it. Anyway. Oh my God. Sorry. Okay. Cut.
I'm not going to cut. Let's keep going. Let's
keep
it pushing.
Okay. My first album pick is Sun by Zoh Amba. This artist is based out of New York City now, but I believe they're a saxophonist, maybe originally from Tennessee.
Cool.
This is a really gorgeous free jazz album. It's like tender but weirdly joyful and very bright. It's a very summery type of jazz album. It's so good. I said she's a saxophonist, of course, brilliant brass playing, and then these like really rolling jazzy piano chords. You can just tell like the weight of the hands on the keys, the touch is there.
I don't know who she got to do piano on this record, but I know the sax is kind of the star of the show here, but man, some of those piano riffs, I'm like,
so
how
good.
is that even possible? I'm like, this person has to have like 20 fingers or something. Like, it's crazy.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
If you have two pianists, what is the secret? How does it sound like that?
It's so good. I'm not usually gripped by free jazz quite like this, but I just loved its bright attitude, but still very, very emotional at the same time. It's really pretty.
Yeah, free jazz can be kind of intimidating, but this is so vibrant and joyous. And the name of the album is just Sun. That's like such a perfect,
all you need.
Yeah, go listen to this like in the park.
Right. Like it could be fun, but you could also get burnt, And that's life, baby.
Wear sunscreen.
That's life. Yeah, wear sunscreen. That was my first album. What about your next one?
My next one, I'll go ahead and talk about Muzak for the Encouragement of Unproductivity by JASMINE GUFFOND. This record obviously is inspired by Muzak, which I knew was sort of like a trademarked brand name for this type of sort of jazz adjacent.
Right, it's jazz-ish, but it's also very intentionally middling. It kind of has that reputation as well.
It's pretty much vaporwave.
Yeah, it's shopping music, it's elevator music. Yeah, it's agreeable.
Yes, and so I knew that you know, it was this weird, like, corporate commodity music trademark. But I didn't know that it was so heavy on, like, the psychological testing. Like, it was, whenever they were initially making Muzak, there was a lot of work put into, like, how can we make this, like, keep people in our stores longer so they buy more stuff? How can we make our workers more productive? That sort of thing. So this is very much the inverse of that philosophy.
Yeah. There's something very, like, liminal in that thought process. You know,
Totally.
you're kind of being held in a space for longer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this is, maybe you can be held in that space for longer, but I think that as opposed to Muzak, which might encourage you to spend more time shopping so that you can spend more money, this is more maybe encouraging, like, conscious consumption.
Yeah, it's encouraging getting your feet in the dirt.
Yes, literally. Well, they talk in the liner notes too about just overall the benefits of slowing down.
Yeah,
personally,
unproductivity,
professionally, ecologically.
It makes the work that you are able to do in 24 hours better in every single way.
That's true too.
The quality of the work improves. You feel better about it. Like
slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast.
And it also raises a lot of questions too about the ubiquity of overnight shipping.
Yeah,
and
dude.
How it's like that's not normal. You actually should be able to summon
and like
things
the
from,
price of convenience is not worth it.
You don't even see it. You don't even know.
Yeah.
And so on that note, particularly with regard to overnight shipping and that sort of thing, another cool thing about this record that really took it to the next level for me in terms of like, wow, this artist really put a lot of intention into this, is that the way the reverb is programmed.
There's like a treatment, in the production of it.
Yes, and so it is spaced to sound like it's being played inside of like a specific Amazon fulfillment center in Berlin. I think that's so cool. I love just that little detail. Obviously you can't hear it. It sounds probably indistinguishable from if you program the reverb any other way, like just to the untrained ear.
Just like warehouse.
But I really love that. I love this sort of they use the phrase specifically mimetic hacking of you're kind of conducting this psychological warfare on Amazon by just like playing
by
this
wasting
record.
time like spiritually in their warehouse.
Yes.
You're like playing trucks in their warehouse.
You're astral projecting into their warehouse listening to this
and
album.
wasting time.
And like loosening
that.
the bolts on their stupid
they called it like a
whatever.
subtle form of like sonic protest or something.
Which there's like a huge history of this in a lot of like industrial and electronic music. William Burroughs talks about a lot of fun like tape recorder magic experiments he did with cutting in like sounds of like riots and protests and with like cop noises or like other regular like street performance things. Anyway,
kind of like designing your own little soundtrack.
Totally. We're getting a little off topic here.
We're getting weird with it.
But I will be listening to this.
Here's the thing.
Doing yoga later. It's wonderful. I find this calming, soothing, beautiful music.
Yeah, here's the thing. I find this stuff so much more interesting than the girl I overheard at the flea market finds like a pair of pants and say, I manifested this.
Oh my god, I manifested
I'm like, girl, you went in your car, you went shopping for pants. What do you mean you manifested
Maybe you don't know. Maybe she did like draw a little picture of the exact pants she wanted.
Yeah, she cut her tape loops.
Yeah.
She treated her album like it was at the factory where the pants were constructed.
You don't know.
Maybe she did.
Do you have another album for me, Carrie?
I do. I have one more jazz adjacent pick, and then I'll have something else for our non-jazz heads.
Cool.
But
same.
This is a really, really strange album, and the way I pitch it at first isn't totally gonna capture what it does, but we'll figure it out. It sounds The Color of Grounds by 3 Layer Cake. This is a 3-piece band based out of New York, and they do like this really strange experimental punk and jazz crossover. The first track, when I read those tags, the first track really caught me off guard because it's very banjo forward. There's something like a twang to it. And so you're like, is it country?
And
it's really not.
And the bass on that track too, it's very Johnny Cash, like Yeah, and this record is
so it's a really
crazy.
fun kind of like bait and switch at the beginning. They kind of really zag on you because then it does go into more of your jazz electric guitar type of arrangements, but having that spirit of punk, some punk bass lines melting in with some weird jazz notes, and the drums too also really take it there.
And there's a lot of vocals and kind of spoken word on this album too.
I was wondering if it was samples that were dropped in. I definitely think on the first track they might be, but I don't know.
I'm not sure.
We're just
Not sure.
We're gonna have to ask.
Is this
Let us know.
no jazz?
Sometimes. And sometimes it's too structured.
Sometimes it's yes jazz.
Free jazz, yes jazz, and no jazz. More at 8.
No, whatever. This is beyond any like regular genre. It's really off the wall.
Bizarre.
I love this stuff.
Yeah. And I was showing it to you a little bit before, and you definitely understood what happened because you were like, it just kind of captures you.
I'm like, I
while
just
you're
really
listening
can't
to
stop
it.
listening to it because I don't really understand like what's going on or where they're about to go next.
You
It's
kind of tilt
totally
your head.
Unpredictable.
Yeah.
It all kind of works together.
I like it. I really do.
I do think fans of jazz will like this, but it's really not gonna be like your typical this is 8 Miles Davis. This is really, really off the wall stuff.
It's awesome.
Very strange.
Thank you, 3-Layer Cake. You have one more album for us, correct?
Yes, we will leave the jazz corner. Everyone say goodbye to Jazz
Bye,
Corner,
Jazz Corner.
and say hello to Requiem by All Men Unto Me. So this artist, I keep googling All Men Unto Me, the name of this artist, and it keeps pulling up just the Bible verse, John 12:32, where the artist names comes from.
They sort of mean it in a different way than maybe the artist means it, you know?
Yes. Okay, so I was looking for more information. This artist is kind of an offshoot of Ashenspire for other fans of extreme metal and stuff. And this album, pretty much, I'll go ahead and get the surface level comparison out of the way, is yes, this sounds a lot like Lingua Ignotia. They're both influenced by religious choral music. However, this album is definitely more grounded in like metal.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a symphonic metal thing happening here too, with a lot of like string accompaniments and these beautiful orchestral swells.
Yeah, it's playing up these like grandiose churchy sounds.
Yes.
In this really cool way that is also like explicitly queer in a way. It's like how the Pope's designer is like a gay man, you know, who's like making his beautiful vestments and stuff.
I see that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like,
and yeah,
if the shoe fits, babe.
Yes. Similarly to Lingua Ignotia, there's a lot of like operatic vocals.
Yeah. Really
those
good
are
vocals.
really the star of the show here.
Absolutely.
The vocals are so wildly impressive. This artist also, it's definitely worth checking out their previous release, In Chemical Transit, which is a documentation of his voice changing from, you know, a higher level to being able to sing in deeper like bass and baritone notes.
Cool.
After starting testosterone.
Slay.
So that doesn't really come into play here because I think his voice is now like
it's just
settled into a really
another-
nice deep, but like now he really knows how to use it.
Well, yeah, but this is someone with like a good artistic perspective as well, and like the mind to document that type of stuff.
Yes,
really
totally.
cool.
And I love this sort of like Saint Sebastian-esque reframing of spirituality through the lens of transmasculinity, which is such a cool and engaging perspective. It is obviously very distinct from other artists doing similar work.
Slay.
So great. I also believe this was recorded in a church. It was mastered at Abbey Road Studios. So
Oh my
that's
god,
cool. That's fun.
iconic.
Yeah, this artist also only has like 500 monthly listeners on
What?
Spotify or something. So go get those numbers up.
Run it up.
Go get those numbers up.
Hell yeah. I have one more album for us to talk about today before we leave.
Yes.
It's called Howl and Tell. It's a collaboration between Thisquietarmy and Otay, onii, two artists who I believe have a few thousand monthly listeners each. I believe they're both kind of holding their own in this scene.
Yes.
This is out on a couple different record labels. I've got it pulled up right now on Katuktu Collective.
Nice.
Yeah, what were you saying?
I think these artists are both relatively kind of gaining traction in this sort of like internet music, online kind of Bandcamp release space.
Hell yeah. And for good reason. This is a really, really cool album. There's a lot of droniness going on, but with really experimental vocals. It's very heavy sounding and noisy. There is a post-rock tag on it. I don't know enough about post-rock to dispute it, but I wouldn't there's not a lot of like traditional rock expectation
Maybe
going
that's
on here.
what
It
they
seems like
mean
more of
by-
an attitude thing, you know?
Right.
It's the attitude of post-rock maybe.
Rock is over and we're just doing whatever we want.
It's just
can have
so-
a lot of like droning sections like that. I
Yeah,
kinda see
that's
it.
true. It's just so drony and electronic and stuff, and it's definitely by the weirdos for the weirdos, which I really appreciate. The production also has a lot going on. There's obviously huge drone, like we've talked about, but this can be like higher pitches or more bass notes too, that it really influences the feel. And then there's like this constant screeching, and there's like these really sharp, upfront, in your face, precise moments that like sometimes you'd lose sight of those drones, you know,
Yes.
among the chaos. It's really, really cool.
This fits into a really interesting space, sort of between like post-rock and post-industrial.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, just because it is so grating in a good way.
In a good way. We love that weird, noisy, abrasive
Hell
stuff
yeah.
here. Great. Awesome. Well, we had some good stuff this week, but what else are we looking forward to, Carrie? Do we have anything on the calendar? I know tomorrow I might be at punk rock karaoke.
Punk rock karaoke.
Tattooed Mom.
Oh my god, that's so exciting. Well, we have to give Bobka her flea and tick medication.
Oh wow. I'm also getting a new tattoo on Wednesday, so that's also exciting.
Yay! And I don't work on Friday.
Oh, is there like something happening?
Not really.
All right, yeah, we'll probably stay in our house. I'm sure this city's gonna be like insane. Yeah, great.
Hell yeah.
Well,
have a good week, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
stay safe, have fun.
See ya.
Bye.